Welcome back, and with us today is a fairly new member to the Third Mutual Board, Mr. Jules Zalon. Good to see you, sir.
Glad
nice
to be here,
meet
Ken.
you.
Thank you.
And let's see, when did you get on the board? About 3 months ago?
Just 2 or 3 months ago, yes.
Yeah. So tell me about your background first, and I know you came to the board because they had some openings.
Yes, I was invited to seek a position.
What made you do that? Were you working with them in advisory committees?
Actually, I was. I was a volunteer on the water committee, and
okay.
I decided, since I was a brand new member of a really great community, I decided I wanted to get involved. I've always been actively involved in one or another activity since, ever since day one.
So how long have you lived here?
We've lived here about 15 months.
Oh, so not very
Yes.
long. Where'd you come from?
We came from New Jersey, New York, New Jersey.
Yeah. Wow.
And I was and still am a lawyer in New York and Jersey.
Okay.
And we came out here because my wife couldn't stand the cold weather.
Everyone
and
says that.
We
yes.
couldn't be happier to be this. This is a terrific community.
Fantastic.
We're really very happy with it.
Yeah, well, we're glad you're here.
So are we.
So 2 or 3 months on the board. I know just in the past from people who've gotten onto the board, it takes a little time to get to know things, get to know people, and you kind of dive right in, right?
Well, I did, but there is a tremendous amount of, of learning, book learning. There's a tremendous amount of material to read, and it's almost a full-time job. I cannot tell you how impressed I am with the people that are on the board. They're not only are they fun to work with, but they are really doing a tremendous, they're doing a great job. I'm honored to be part of them.
Yeah, they do. All the board members, it's a lot of work. It really is.
Yeah, but if someone wants to participate in a community, I can't think of anything better than to volunteer to get on one of the committees, run for the board. It's very, very satisfying.
Yeah. Now, I know you're on a couple committees right now.
Yes.
You're still on the water committee, that is, you were an advisor,
yes.
but now you're officially on it.
Oh,
right?
yes. I've been on that. I've been volunteering for them for many months.
Yeah. And that's, of course, always been a big issue here. And I know with the other people that are on that committee and that work really hard to get the water bills down, to find maybe where the leaks are and things like that. So there's quite a bit of effort that has been going on.
And every month we get the bills and we go over them to see who is at the higher tiers, because the basic tier is a relatively reasonable amount of per cubic 100 cubic feet, which is 748 gallons. But as soon as you start using too much, you get up to tier 2. Tier 3 is over twice as much as tier 1. Tier 4 is almost 3 times the big.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of, what we have to do is to find out whether we're dealing with leaks or with profligate users.
Yeah, and I know James is very big on that.
Oh, yes, he's terrific.
Definitely. Speaking of that, being that you're from back east and all, do they do the same thing back there? Do they have tiers like that?
You know what? I don't know, because we have been, when I was out east, we were dealing basically with our own individual water bills.
Right.
And they really weren't very much. I mean, we became, because of the drought across the country, we've been relatively frugal in using water, so it never really bothered us.
Yeah. But it'd be interesting to see how other districts do that.
And the funny thing is, I've had some wonderful experiences as a water meter reader. I mean, it really is a tribute, or says something about the neighborhoods and the neighbors, that no one has ever looked suspiciously of me walking around with a wrench and a flashlight, sometimes at odd hours, on my hands and knees, looking for this little crypt that the water meters are at.
Yeah.
I've had people come over to me and say, "Are you okay? Should we call for help? Because I'm on my hands and knees
That's
looking
funny.
at the meters. Sure.
But it's great that you're on that, and we'll see. You know, with the so-called drought been declared over, not
Well,
over, but you know what I'm saying, as
Sure.
far as some of the restrictions of the
Yeah,
state.
we're keeping our
We'll
fingers
see what
crossed.
happens on that.
Sure.
And you're also a new member to the JRF Community Activities Committee, am I
Yes,
right?
yes, and I'm very excited about being on that one. There are great activities going on in this community. I mean, we have, my particular concern is both physical activities, getting people moving and getting them off their duffs, but also cultural. And we have some terrific organizations here. We have 2 theatrical groups.
Yes.
The-
And we
you
should
know,
mention your wife is involved with that.
my
as
wife
well.
is very
Yes.
involved in that.
Yeah.
Yes, she's one of the old pros.
Yeah.
And also with the Theater Guild. Anyone who saw The Lion in Winter recently, you know, knows that we're basically dealing with, you know, very, very professional,
Right.
competent actors. What we'd love to see is you know, hopefully we can do something like this in the future, is to get a smaller facility for, you know, smaller productions.
Sure, I understand
Black
what you
box.
mean. Yeah, exactly. I was going to say that myself. I
The
know exactly what you're
equivalent
talking about.
of basically an off Broadway production.
Yeah.
Where you can get lost on basically a Broadway quality
Right.
stage like we have.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's
Yeah,
we're
very
hoping
good.
to see that.
And because your wife is involved with this and you're with CAC, you're probably very interested on coming up. They're looking at the Performing Arts Center and what kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
rehab it may need there.
Oh yeah, you know, it's really quite amazing for a community to have a facility like that, even
Right.
before they do any
Right.
work with it. I mean, it really is you know, like a first class
Yeah.
facility. But as I said, we'd love to see something a little bit smaller.
Right, and I think you make a very good point with that because
Yeah.
quite often it's a good way to maybe get 3 or 4 actors on a small stage, get intimate with the people, do small scale productions,
Oh, yeah.
sometimes with little to no sets, where it's very story driven.
I mean,
Yeah.
America has, you know, our theater is just filled with projects that could fit in you know, on a dime.
Yeah.
Arthur Miller's, you know, All My Sons.
Mm-hmm.
It can be put on a very small. Our Town.
Yeah, right.
Thornton Wilder. That could be put in that could be done on this desk.
Yeah.
It's, you know, you don't really need an awful lot of room for things like that. It would get lost on a major, you know, on a big first-class
Yeah,
stage.
yeah. That's a
So
very good
that's what
point.
we're hoping to see.
All right, very good. Now, you're on those 2 committees. Are you on,
Yeah.
obviously when you're on as a board member, there's certain other committees you're on, committee as a whole and things like that as
Yeah,
well.
the committee as a whole, the finance and
Right.
the M&C. And M&C is another really interesting organization because you're dealing constantly with there's sort of a push and a pull for people who want to
Yeah.
expand their units, their manners.
Yeah, and that's a big issue here for sure. And all the other things that goes along with M&C, and you know, part of that is of course the dry rot, and you know, going on and on. It's there's a lot there. I think M&C for any of the boards, and then CAC, you know, those
Yeah.
are big that you have with GRF.
I'm very excited to be, you know, to be active in all of them. I think M&C has some wonderful people who are, you know, basically running it. You know, we have the epoxy for the drain pipes,
Right.
and the dry rot,
Yes.
which is really you gotta basically stay on top of it.
Exactly. You know, I have to go back for a minute about your prior life, that you dealt in merchandising, and merchandising, what I should say, is really, I managed copyrighted things, likenesses of people and like that. And it's amazing. Billy Joel, Willie Nelson, Michael Jackson, Dave Matthews Band, Pee Wee Herman, the Three Stooges, but that's what you were dealing in, right?
Yeah,
Is
they
there-
were all clients of mine.
Yeah, rights to their, I imagine, their likeness.
Well, I sort of
right?
stumbled into it. I created in 1980 at that time a novel legal procedure, pursuant to which federal judges authorized marshals and police and eventually private individuals to go out and seize counterfeit merchandise outside of originally rock concerts, but any kind of a concert, sports facilities. And the thing that was amazing was, for the first time, these groups were able to get control of the merchandising of their products. And so at a concert, suddenly, instead of maybe taking $20,000 in T-shirts out of a rock concert, the same size concert hall, they take $250,000 a night.
Wow.
So I became rather popular for a while.
Yeah.
So that's the reason that's the way I wound up representing all these people.
Very interesting. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun, you know,
I bet
running
it was.
around the country, chasing bootleggers.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, great background. Great to have you on the board.
It's been my pleasure. I'm truly enjoying it. I'm looking forward to more time there.
Yes, fantastic. And I'm sure you'll be back with us again.
It would be a pleasure.
All right, Jules, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Pleasure.
It's good to see you, Ken.
And we'll be right back.